Hello, hola, bonjour. Tune in every Tuesday to the Dear God podcast.
¿Y qué pasó?
Nah, we talking like it's 1995. Let go of that Wi-Fi. Let's laugh and cry, but never say goodbye. And welcome, bienvenidos to the Dear God, Are We There Yet? The podcast. Con tu prima favorita, soy Alicia Sanchez, and yes, this podcast is bilingual. Bueno, alguna vez, eh? Ahora, Dear God, in this context, for my movement is whatever or whomever you want it to be. It can be the universe, religious God, Buddha, self, nature, lo que sea para ti. Dear God, Are We There Yet? Is a lifestyle community of question seekers. The goal is simple: to empower thought-provoking conversation, share happiness, and encourage each of us to never stop asking questions and having conversations that matter. The power of helping people help people with one conversation at a time. And why, you might ask? Because we need it. Our friends and families need it, and the world needs it. Ya tu sabe, don't forget to check out the YouTube channel where I talk about self-growth, budgets and business, and passion to empower. Ahora vamos a hablar like it's 1995. How are you guys doing? Can you believe it? It's about 6 months away till 2020. Ya se fue el año. Ya se fue. Casi ya se fue. I mean, when July hits, you already know that the year's basically up. When you start seeing Christmas in July and you start seeing the number 7, you're just like, oh, well, that's it. You know, December's here and we're already in January. But hold your horses, primos and primas. Do not start planning as of yet. And that's something that I usually like, plan for the future and all this. Take it easy, take it time. You know, let's enjoy 2019. I see that every time I go to the store and I'm like, oh my God, they're already celebrating another holiday. We just got over this holiday and they're already putting out something else. We're already in ahead and we're not even enjoying this holiday or this moment or whatever the case may be. So in lieu of that, in 2020 coming up, and you know, everybody with their goals, and I know I'm very goal-oriented, so I'm one of those, guilty. I wanted to talk about, how do we find our purpose? How do we find our passion? And because a lot of people, you know, especially if I talk to strangers, or in the past when I talk to clients and they're like, but I don't know, how do I know that's my passion? How do I know that it's my hobby? How do I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing? And, you know, I always say, like, I talk about passion and your purpose like love. And when I say that el amor te encuentra a ti, love finds you. I've said that. I've said that before in my podcast, but I truly believe it, because I remember one time in my life and I was like, oh, I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. And I kept looking for it, in the wrong places, and I kept looking for, like, seeking it, you know, and I would put myself out there, but I wasn't letting it come to me. I wasn't letting love come to me, and I wasn't letting love find me. And I feel like that's how it is with our passion and our purpose. You know, there's so much influence in these days. You know, you read something, you're on social media, you see it in the news, you see it, you go to the library, you go to the Barnes and Nobles and you read a book and you're like, all these influences are coming and you're like, oh, when am I going to find my passion? When am I going to find my purpose? Is it possible to find it? And, you know, these are just my opinions. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm just, Dear God, Are We There Yet? Just Alicia, tu prima favorita. And for me, I would have to say to you is that it finds you. Your purpose or your passion finds you. And a lot of people that are living their purpose or their passion, or they're stumbling upon it and they're just like, oh my God, it found me in the most peculiar way that you never expected. You know, there's thousands of people that are probably have this example in their mind where they lose their job, they end up doing their side hustle, they end up doing something or volunteering somewhere, or someone tells them to help them out with something, and then they realize they're really good at something, or they realize they're really, like, this is what they really love. I remember as a kid, when I was in actually high school and I learned about the Peace Corps, I always wanted to go to the Peace Corps. And I didn't know what it was, why I wanted to go there, but I knew that it was helping people, because when I was growing up, I went to a Catholic school. Well, not Catholic school, Catholic church. And church that I went to was very mission based. Like there was always a mission. They were always helping people, and not just like giving them things, on literally like resources and helping them. And I was very much involved through my older brother. And yeah, growing up Catholic, you know, the whole nine, catecismo, bautizo, comunión, all that stuff. And so I was really heavy into that. And I wouldn't say necessarily from the religious standpoint of view, because, you know, when you're brought up into a religion, when you're in a family, it's something that you just do. I mean, there's no questions, especially if you're Latina. I mean, you're going to church. I mean, you just go, you know, Sunday's church. There's no ifs, ands, and buts, because you kind of don't have your own mind yet. I mean, you do, but come on, who wants to challenge a Hispanic father or mother? So, and some people will. I gave it to you. So we were part of this whole, like, just going to church. It was just something really just, you know, fluid. But I remember going to church, and I remember being very, very much involved in church, and, you know, being a catechist teacher or helping out with these missions, or going out to the farms or the fields, like the strawberry fields in Palm Beach, and helping or translating or whatever the case is. And I was cute. I was a kid. I was young, but I knew I loved it, and I knew that I loved helping people, and I knew I loved you know, translating, and not letting people take advantage of women and children, or even men as well, because I feel like when you don't know another language, when you don't know the main language of English, and you live in America, you can be taken, you know, advantage, very much so. And so I knew that this is something that I always, like, I loved, and I knew that the Peace Corps, when I heard someone came and talked about the Peace Corps, and how, you know, you can give your, you know, life, basically, 2 years of your life helping someone, and you can be in a hut somewhere. The first thing in my mind, I was like, I can totally do that. I mean, I'm from Dominican Republic, where there's light and water, like, scarce, you know, there's no light and water all the time. I mean, I could totally live in a hut and do this, but the first thing I can do, my selflessness came in, as like, I could do that. I would love to do that. You know, and then life happens, and then you just still find ways to help people. You still find ways to connect with people or talk to them. But I could never go to the Peace Corps because of, you know, medical reasons. There's just a lot of different things that Peace Corps allowed you to go. And then time passes by, and I'm doing fashion, because I didn't stumble upon fashion. I absolutely loved fashion. I did it since high school. But I remember even doing it through high school. I loved helping people. I loved, you know, connecting and making people feel good. I know in college, when I brought everybody knows this if you know me, because I talk about it very candidly, about my $99 Walmart sewing machine, and I would put it into my dorm, and I would just be sewing, and I didn't even know it was a business. It's just my mind. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'm doing fashion. And it led me to my fashion career for many years. And then it always brought me back to helping people help people. Like, it always helped me. It always brought me back to this little part in me that I wanted to help. And, you know, they always say the things that you love doing sometimes don't bring the money, you know, or they don't bring the bread, you know, or you know, it's not, I mean, you could be a doctor and make good money, of course, and help people, yes, but then there's other ways of helping people that you might necessarily not, you know, bring. And so I challenge you and I ask you to, like, look back all the way until you can remember these little patterns, because that's what happened with me, that these patterns that I kind of left in the back of my brain, in the back of my head, of like these little patterns that I had since a child in helping people. Or it doesn't even have to be helping people in a big way. It could be one person. It could be a family member. It could be just listening. It could be, which I'm a horrible listener. I feel like it sometimes, because I'm so angry. I'm so, like, ready to help that I'm like, okay, I got a solution. I'm ready to go. But it's a different type. It works for some people. And so, you know, finding your purpose and your passion, it's not something that I always have to say this, because it's not, I think something that finds you. It's not something that you just say, today I wake up and this is my passion. And maybe it works for you, and maybe that's what it is. But finding something is not the answer. I would say it's about letting it find you, letting it take over you, letting it complete you, letting it evolve you, letting it teach you, letting it grow with you. And so, because if you ask so many people about their passions or their purposes, they will tell you similar stories, that they were working a 9 to 5 job, or they had a family, or something went, an adversity in their life happened, which made them change gears, and they, like a switch in their mind went off, and they're like, okay, now I want to help this cause because now it's important to me, and now I've lived through this. And they stumble upon it because it finds them. And the reason why I want to say this is because I was reading something, and I kind of want to share it with you guys. The authors of the research paper, Implicit Theories of Interest, Finding Your Passion or Developing It. Basically, what they said is urging people to find their passion may lead them to put all their eggs in one basket, but then to drop that basket when it becomes difficult to carry. Developing passion rather than finding it is a healthier way to think about it. I love that because it's true. And I've noticed this with my own self, like when you have something you're so passionate about and you're so deep in thought about, you literally will A, self-sabotage, 2, put all your eggs in one basket and leave everything and forget about everything, or 3, make it that your center. And then when things get hard or you're uneasy or you don't know qué tú vas a hacer y quién te va a ayudar, dónde tú vas a sacar el dinero, when all those things come, you start telling yourself like, oh, this is enough, ya no puedo, ya esto está demasiado para mí, yo no puedo. So you have to scale back, and then that's where doubt comes in and fear comes in, and more and more and more, and it takes over, and then your passion or purpose, you end up just like it fades away, and you just start going back to your normal routine, rather than you letting it find you and letting it and cultivate that journey with it. So if something comes towards you, you take it with gratitude and say, okay, what can I do to build upon it to learn more? Because we're always learning, and we have to continue to learn, but we also have to continue to teach as well. Teach ourselves, teach others, teach within, and take those little nuggets of what we are, encountering, and telling ourselves, okay, this might be something, I might be onto something. I don't know if it is what I want to do, but could I see myself doing this? Do I feel, does my voice shake when I speak about this? How does this really impact me, and how do I want this to look at? Because we overwhelm ourselves by these labels of passions and purposes, because we see an external world having these passions and purposes, and they're living their best life, or lo que sea. And then, you start to compare yourself, or you start to say, well, why haven't I found my passion, or why haven't I found my purpose? But maybe you have, maybe it's found you already and you're ignoring it. And maybe because you don't want to do it, or maybe because that's not who you are. And it's okay. Our passion and our purpose can be loving each other. That is one of the best passions and purposes, is just loving and being a good human. Maybe our passion and purpose is to help ourselves and our families. Maybe our passion and purpose is to be a great person on this earth with love, respect, kindness, gratitude. Maybe our purpose and our passion is to be patient with ourselves. Maybe our purpose and our passion is to see someone walking down the street and helping them without having to document it, or basically get an applause for it. Maybe passion and purpose is just living who you are and not being what anybody else wants you to be and who you want them to change. Maybe living your purpose and your passion is not, caring about the people that are judging you in and day and out, and what goes on in your mind. Like, if I do this, this person's going to think this. If I do that, blah, blah, blah. Or thinking or caring what your friends and family think, because that is not living your true self. Maybe living your purpose and your passion is so simple, but it's actually more grander and much better, because you're living life for you and not what you see and what you compare. Because the minute you start putting all your eggs in one basket, thinking this is all for none, you might end up realizing, like, this is my passion, this is my purpose in this moment in your life, but it might change, and you have to be open for that. When I talk about my past, like with fashion, I did fashion since I was in high school. I did costume design, and then I went into college and I did fashion merchandising, marketing. But I was doing fashion on the side, really heavy, hardcore, and I didn't really even start making money with it until way after. I worked in corporate America and I was still doing fashion. I mean, I literally put all my eggs in one basket, but the back of my mind, I always wanted to help people. But I didn't know how or when, but I know that every time I had the opportunity and I was somewhere, I was always helping either my clients of consulting, or they weren't my clients, it would just be a random Joe on the street that'd be like, oh, I want to open up a business. And I'm sitting there at Walmart, like telling them how to open up their business because it's just a part of who I am. And, but things change. Then all of a sudden, you know, not to say that's not my passion or my purpose, because I love fashion. I think every time I even get on the sewing machine, I feel like jitters, and I feel holding that piece of thread, that, you know, that fabric, and threading my needle, and I feel this little, it's like a warm hug from my very first time that I learned how to sew from my mom. So I feel this connection with it. But it was my passion at one point, and I've evolved. And your passion and your purpose doesn't have to just be one thing and that's it, you're done. And I think that's the misconception of why we say, how can I find my passion and my purpose? Are you living up to what you want to live in your life and your within you? And so I don't do fashion anymore. And at first it was really hard for me to not do, because I was just like, this is all I know. But did I allow myself to do something else without the critics and without the judgment and without this and without the that? No. And then I happened to find myself writing, something that I've actually never ever did really. I mean, I've written in journals all my life. And as a kid, I used to, you know, write in my own journals. But I didn't know that, like, because I had all these stigmas like, oh, you have to be a writer, you have to go to this school, you have to go to that school, you have to do this, and you have to be amazing at grammar, you have to be this. And so it was really hard for me to even publish my first book, because I had all these labels and stigmas and this fear. And then I opened my eyes and I'm like, no. I mean, there's teams of people. I read books now. I buy books on the street. I mean, like on Barnes & Nobles, or get them on the library. And there's so many freaking typos in the books. And I have to show it to my wife. And I'm like, do you see this? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, but these people are like a part of Simon and Schuster and crap, you know, these big old amazing publishing companies. Don't they see this stuff, you know? And I'm sitting here, you know, having a heart attack over a comma in a sentence, you know, because I'm so hard on myself, because I'm like, well, you know, English is my second language. English is my second language. So that gave me my excuse to make these mistakes or whatever the case. But it's not that. It's not that part that I had to let go of. And I had to tell myself, like, okay, well, writing is, why can't living be my passion and purpose of helping people however I want to be, however I want to do, however I want to evolve. So then I wrote, Dear God, Are We There Yet? And it came out, and I hated it. Isn't that crazy? Como tú haces un proyecto, tú estás escribiendo algo 2 años, 3 años. Tú lo haces y después lo odias. Like, I didn't like it afterwards. And I'm just like, okay, it's not that I didn't like it. It's because I've already evolved from that part. Because when I wrote Dear God, Are We There Yet? I wrote it from a different part of my life. And that's what I want to challenge you guys and to listening to the podcast today, is that, like, we do these things and we're in different parts of our life. It's not just like black and white, like, oh, that's it, you're done. You can have many passions and purposes in your life as you move into your, you know, different parts and evolve in different parts of your life. And more than anything now, I'm strongly wanting to take Dear God, Are We There Yet? To this powerful community of question seekers. You know, it's like provoking conversation and sharing happiness to encourage each of us to never stop asking questions, because we're living in a time where people don't want us to ask questions. They just want us to go with the line. And I want to talk about it all under the sun. And so finding is it possible? It's possible for it to find you, absolutely. But the more that you keep looking for it, it's only going to confuse you, because then you're going to be forcing something that you probably never even wanted to do or like, or because you're doing it because Billy Bob Joe was doing it. And it worked for Billy Bob Joe, but it might not work for you. And that's okay, because you have to let it find you. You have to let it come into your life. And it's already probably in your life, and you're probably ignoring it because you're just like, but it doesn't look glamorous. You know, I didn't think that the Peace Corps would look glamorous. I mean, it didn't look glamorous. Some people it does look glamorous, but for me it was a different purpose. For me it was just to help people. And then I realized I didn't have to go miles and miles away to help people. I can do it right now. I can do it here. And so finding your passion and your purpose, don't let the society get you on this, you know, this little wheel of when is it going to happen and a time and a date and all that stuff. Because you know what? Quite frankly, let life be what you want it to be. Live life. Because when you live your life the way you want to live it to your own best life, everything will come your way. The doors will start opening. The windows will start opening. You'll start finding keys places. You'll start seeing the exits more clear. You'll start seeing the detours more clear. You will be driving your journey the way you want to drive it because you're not letting anything control your mind frame. And so in a world full of where everybody's saying, find your purpose, and I'm going to help you find your purpose and your passion in 5 steps. Listen, you can't find your purpose and your passion in 5 steps. I'm sorry, you can't. I'm sorry, it finds you because you evolve and change. And today, you're going to be completely different from tomorrow and next week and next year. And God forbid something horrible happens in your life, those adversities are only going to make you stronger and it's going to change you again. And your passion and purpose might be something else. And that is okay. And so don't feel like you have to be doing one thing for the rest of your life because that's exactly what you thought you were going to do. Allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to live who you are. And you know what? People are always going to judge you. People are always going to have something to say. People are always going to have some comparison. Let them. That's how they want to live their life. Let them live their life that way. But you have to try to live your life for you. And so when I started to write Dear God, Are We There Yet? And I go into this, trance of writing it, I stumble upon improving my writing, and I stumble upon creative writing to help me with my words or help me relay my message because yo hablo mucho, entonces yo puedo, este podcast puede ser casi una hora si yo lo dejo, right? So I start to explore other parts of me and other stories and other things, and then I start writing for publications or even Harness Magazine, something super super easy, or another blogger or whatever the case is. You have to start somewhere, right? And so that's one facet of what I am, but it doesn't mean it's all of me. There's so many different facets of me, and there's so many different facets of you. So whether it's sewing or pottery or traveling or being with my family or loving on them and time, I cannot stress how much time is like the most valuable thing on this world and universe and earth and moment. Which is, that could be your purpose and your passion, which is finding all the little extra minutes and seconds of time to be able to do what you love. And, sometimes you might feel overwhelmed, and that's okay, because that overwhelms is meaning that you're letting life ride. You're not trying to put all the little stops and trying to fix everything. And, if the car has a gas leak, you're not trying to tape it up. You're trying to see, okay, is it really a gas leak? Okay, how can I get a mechanic to help me? And I use a lot of analogies of cars because life is a road trip. It really is. I sit back now and every time I'm reading something and I see people using Dear God or they use the Are We There Yet kind of thing, and it's not my idea. Anybody can use Dear God. Are we there yet? Well, Dear God, Are We There Yet is mine. But I'm saying that people can use the analogy of Dear God and speaking to the universe as Dear God, or the analogy of Are We There Yet? People can use that because that will associate with them, that connects with them. So, all I'm saying is that you have to do what works for you and stop looking for things in the wrong places. Stop looking for them and just be. And if it's something that you look back to your younger self or your most fondest moments of happiness or your most fondest moments of wow or ha-ha moments, you're going to find that your passion and your purpose was always peeking along and saying, hello, how you doing? And tú vas a ver que these are patterns that you've had and you probably stuck them in the past. And you just I don't know. I met this lady once that she was a foster care growing up, and I think it was, I'm trying to remember what she's an older lady, but she was going through a lot in foster care, and I think that in her years she had problems with behavior and all this stuff because she went through a lot of emotional and physical through the whole foster care system. She ended up working in banks and stuff when she came out. one day she just like came across, I guess, somebody that was in her foster home, another child, but they were older, they're like her age. And she started talking to them, and the girl was telling her all these things that she did to help save her. She didn't even know she did half of these things. Like she said that the girl, in the morning, she would like help her, get her stuff dressed, like her clothes and stuff. In the afternoon, she would help her with homework. Like she basically said to her, because of her, she was able to come out of the foster care system, and she, went to college and all this stuff. And mind you, this lady did not even know that she was so much of an impact like that. And lo and behold, within like 2 years, she literally transformed, and now she's doing stuff with foster care because she's just like, she knew there was something that she loved doing, but she had this like hate with the foster care system, this love and hate, and it ended up being her calling. And it ended up being what she wanted to do because she didn't like working for banks as a teller, and she didn't like doing any of that. She didn't like, that atmosphere. She wanted to be more hands-on. And that person met her in public just out of nowhere and revealed that because of what she did when she was in that foster home changed. And I'm telling you, when these things are revealed to you, you have to take them with a grain of salt and say to yourself, wow, where am I going to put this in my brain? Where am I going to put this in my heart? Where does this mean to me? And sometimes it can be overwhelming because we have our own fast track. But at the end of the day, we can't go over the speed limit, because what happens when we go over the speed limit? We get a ticket, right? Or we can get in an accident, or even going under the speed limit, we can get an accident. So again, my analogies are to let your passion and your purpose find you. Stop putting things in little boxes like, okay, this is this because this is that. Let it find you. And tomorrow, if you decide to add another passion, be okay with that. If you have another purpose of doing something else, be okay. If you want to be an astronaut tomorrow, be okay with that. I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people that are going to judge you, and they're going to say a lot of crap about what you want to do. Let them. Let the world. That means you don't need those people around you in your life. You don't need to tell those people anything about what you're doing, because it could hinder you until you're strong enough for you to not really care. But we're human, so we are going to care. We are going to care what our family thinks. We are going to care what our friends think, because we love them and they love us. But sometimes people don't know how to be happy for other people because they always got something to say. So if you change your mind the next day and the next day, it's okay. Like, there's no law and there's no book that says you have to have like one thing for the rest of your life and you have to do that one thing until you die. No, there's no book that says that. If it makes you happy, it makes you happy. If you want to ride bikes tomorrow you want to be an astronaut, and the next day, live for you. Make sure because that might be your purpose, is your passion, or it might be your calling is to try new things within you and live your life to your best life. So I know this podcast was a little long today, but I'm really passionate about speaking about this because, even when I spoke at the university to the students, and they're telling me all these things that they want to do, and they're waiting for this piece of paper to allow them to do something. You don't need a sheet of paper to allow you to do anything. I mean, of course, if you're studying medicine, yes, I think you would need to know about medicine before you go and operate on someone. But you don't need permission. And I'm going to tell you, you don't need permission. You don't need to look anymore, and just let it find you. And the only thing that you should be paying attention to is looking for the things that bring you joy, the things that bring you happiness, the things that make your life fulfilling for you and not the other world. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Until next time, hasta la próxima. And please check out the new website, deargodarewethereyet.com. You'll see a little pop-up that comes up. Go ahead and join our email list. I send an email every single day with it's a very short email. There's no spam, and it's basically something to do today, things to do today, things to think about, or something new, things to try today. And it's like a little highlight of that day. And of course, it always points out the interest of the podcast show. But go ahead and add yourself to our email list. We do not spam you or anything like that. It's just some really good, motivating an email every single day, and it's really, really short. You can read it in it's like a text. It's so short, but it's an email. So you can join our list so that you can be a part of what's coming up with the Dear God, Are We There Yet? As you can see, our new website, we have lots of stuff going on. We're going to be having IRL and real life meetups. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I have done events before with fashion, and I've loved it, and I've loved meeting with people, and now I want to come to a city near you, or where I'm going to start slowly, of course, but I want to have this in real life meetups, because I feel that we're all connected online so much, but I want to talk like it's 1995 in living color and purpose. So check out that. If you're on the list, you'll know when the next meetup is going to be and when I'm planning it, and if I'm coming to your city or whatever the case is. And also, right now there are some amazing nonprofits that I'm highlighting, and I will be switching those up frequently. These are nonprofits that are dear to my heart, or they're amazing. They're doing great things, and they're not huge nonprofits. These are your mom and pop nonprofits. These are small nonprofits that need your support and help. And sometimes it's not about money, you guys. It's about just support and help, and that's exactly what I'm going to be bringing in the near future, which I can't talk about it too much, but in the future, Dear God, Are We There Yet is going to be growing to a different avenue, which is the whole purpose of the power of helping people help people with one conversation at a time. So until next time, you guys, have a fabulous day.